Hello, everyone. This is Peter Dennis. What follows is a channeled audio recording of an interview that I had in preparation for my most recent book. That book is entitled The Channeling Connection: The Process, the Beings, and the Messages. It's available as a paperback, an ebook, and an audiobook from Amazon and from most English-speaking bookstores around the planet. This interview is with the Dragons. It was channeled by Karen Ashby, and to both Karen and the Dragons, I'm very grateful for the time that they have given me. Here now is the interview.
We are all through the planet, all over the planet, our energy, that is. And so we come and go as, for example, knowing today that there would be a channeling with you two. There are some of us that said, okay, we'll hang tight and we'll be in this collective and in this channeling for today. And then they'll go off and do something else, and we'll all go off and do something else, connect with another channeler, or do whatever we do to be here.
Okay, well, thank you for clarifying, and thank you very much for being here. Are you aware of what it is I'm attempting to do here?
Well, as you've said, you are collecting information on different energy systems, different collectives, different beings, with the idea of either putting it in your newsletter and or putting it in a book to share around with fellow humans.
Yes. Okay, good. Just wanted to make sure that you understood what you're getting into here. Thank you. Good. Well, I have a number of specific questions that I think humans would be interested in. I certainly am. You were physical on Earth at one time, as
Correct.
I understand it. Can you give me a feeling for when you were here in terms of Earth years?
Well, we've actually been here a few times in different ways. Most of those times were not, humans were not aware of our energy on the planet. Because we weren't necessarily, well, we've been here many times. Some of those times have been physical. And there have been more than one, there's been more than one era of human history where we have physically been here. However, that does not, and doesn't mean that we were here in the physical when humans were here all of those times, because that is indeed true. Mm-hmm. There have been times, I mean, we are somewhat related to the dinosaurs, so some of our energy was here during that period of time. There were times pre that era, much longer ago than that we were here in the physical. But most of the time we are here, most of the time that we have been within the realms of Gaia, it has been energetically. There have been times, as we've said before, where we energetically have not been here because we felt that our activities and our offerings were best used elsewhere. We're referring to some of the darker times on the planet where we felt as a collective that it would be better for other collectives and other energies to be here at that time, and we were off doing something else. That is one of the things that happened during what you would call the King Arthur and era, and those times when the legends of the dragons and slaying the dragons and King George and so forth took place. We were physically here then, and we were misunderstood. Certainly, what we were hoping to offer was totally, mostly totally mistaken. So that humans, there were very few humans in those eras that understood what our energy was here to do, and what we were physically here to help with. And so during those times, there were we were misunderstood, misrepresented, and feared, and hunted. And so eventually we decided that it would just be better for us to take our physical bodies and our energetic bodies away from the planet, so that other energies could come and hopefully aid the planet in those times.
When you were here in those times of King Arthur and such, I guess that was the last time you were here in physical. Can you describe yourselves a little bit? How big you were? Was there a range of little dragons, big dragons, colorful? Did some of you fly, some not? Just fill in a little of that if you can, please.
There was somewhat of a range, depending on the energy that we brought to us, somewhat determined our looks and our size. The pictures that typically you would see in your legends, as most of you would call it, were fairly accurate. We were very large, a lot of us, certainly domineering in size compared to a human. Some of us did breathe fire, not all of us. Some of us we were generally somewhat multicolored, not each of us per se, but there would be like a version of darker dragons, kind of like humans, in the sense that some of you humans would have dark skin, others have lighter skin. Most of us were of the dark version, kind of a magenta, burgundy, brownish. Some of us had kind of all of those tones. We would lighten up towards our spikes on our neck and our tail. We did have very deep set eyes that were, some humans had the opportunity to look into the eyes of a dragon, and some of them, not very many, but some of them were very awed by what they saw. They had no idea. They were, of course, being those times, they were sent out to do a deed, and a lot of those times it was to slay the dragon. Not all of them wanted to do that. Some of them did it for glory. Some of them did it because they were ordered to do it. Some of them were awed by the majesty, the magnificence, the size, the domination, all of those physical attributes that we that mankind would, or humankind would attribute to somebody, a being of our size. So yes, a lot of us were very large compared to humans. There were variations, as we said, in sizes. Some were much smaller. Many of us at that time stayed out of sight or tried to. And we knew when we came here that it was going to be an incredible challenge to get our energy, any of our energy, that our positive energy, accepted. Now, having said that, there are, like most beings, there are good and bad. So there were certainly those of us that came with certain agendas in mind, and didn't necessarily want to communicate in a positive way with humankind. But for the most part, that was really not the case. So those legends were primarily talking about basically us defending ourselves when these warriors would come out to put us down. And since we could really not get through any other way, we didn't have a lot of choice. And it took a lot of guts for a man to come out and try to slay us, because we were so big, so powerful, that a lot of times it was the other way around. And sometimes there were many, many humans that came out to do the slaying for that very reason, because one small human with a sword really doesn't have much potential to hurt us. It has to be in the right place at the right time.
Mm-hmm. How tall is your tallest dragon likely be in, say, feet, or maybe the length of a dragon?
The tallest one in the physical was probably, this one doesn't think in terms of feet so much, but let us say we are showing her like 4 or 5 stories high.
Okay.
And as far as length, well, so it depending on our version, maybe you should say, we could say, is some of us were quite a bit longer than we were taller. Some were not. We're about the same length as height. So it depended on the on where we came from, and what collective we were from, and how we chose to present our bodies in the physical.
What would a typical lifespan be of a dragon at that time?
Physically?
Yeah, in Earth years. Aside from being slain.
Okay. Well, we would say 200 or 300 years. If, yes, as you say, if we were not prematurely killed. And that is why when we were here in the physical in those times, we basically did not make contact with humankind, because we knew that we would not be, for the most part, treated well. And we would be misunderstood. So we stayed to ourselves. We did populate certain areas of the world that were not well populated with humans. And we did that intentionally. We also, as you all know now, all these collectives, whether they be in the physical